To say that I love this layout, how it turns out, is a major understatement. Please stick with me. There's a few processes, but it's super simple. Now, what I'm doing is I actually had a request from somebody asking, I'm not going to name names, but what I wanted to do, what they wanted was, if you don't have stencils, how can you get some of these looks? I don't have a Cricut, I don't have stencils. How can I create some of the looks that you create? So I thought, you know what? Most people can afford a roll or two of washi tape. So this is what I'm showing you today. So instead of using a stencil, washi tape, for those that don't know what it is, it's sticky enough. 9 times out of 10, I always add a bit of glue underneath it if I want it to remain permanent. Otherwise, you can put it down and then lift it back up off the page, and at 99% of the time it doesn't tear your paper underneath. Now I'm using American Crafts white textured cardstock under here. No, I just told a huge great big lie. No, I'm not. That was the last one that I just recorded. I'm doing 2 voiceovers, one after the other, so stick with me here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've got 4 photos. The story I'm telling is my oldest daughter was waiting for my youngest to wake up from her lunchtime nap. And you can tell she's getting a bit bored there. She's like, come on, just wake up. I think this particular day we were going swimming or something. And she just wanted her to wake up. And I'm like, if you wake her up, it's going to be a bad day. So I apologise for my dogs barking in the background. My children are out there, so they will be able to handle it without me. So all I'm doing is creating different thicknesses, widths, etc. on my page. So I'm creating just essentially lines is what I'm doing. Now, I decided that I would go ahead and I've just rubbed out there a few of the pencil lines that I had for my photos, because once you put the ink down, you can't get it back. You can't get it up. So I was going to use my oxides and then realized I haven't used my inks for a while. So on anything major. So I pulled out my distress inks. I'm sort of using my daughter's photo there, her shirt, for a little bit of a guide as to what kind of colours to use. And yeah, so this is kind of where I was at. I was just flicking through my little swatches that I've got there, and I come up with, I didn't want to do a rainbow order anything or anything like that. I just wanted to pluck a few colours that I knew would go well together, because obviously they're in her shirt, but a couple of different tones. Now, I'm using my finger daubers. I know this is a 12 by 12 and you're thinking to yourself, finger daubers? You've got to be kidding me. There has to be a quick way. Well, there kind of really isn't, because I'm trying to only go inside the washi tape, and I'm just adding different colours here, there and everywhere all over the page. Trying not to get them side by side or have them sort of all running in a row or anything like that. I'm not overly stressed about if it's thick and solid, which I probably would have done if I had the oxides out. I probably would have made them all very uniform and no sort of blurring. You know, sometimes it's darker on the out, gradient. That's what I'm blurring. Well, I guess it's blurring. So I'm using the colours that I chose in the Distress inks were Squeezed Lemonade, Wilted Violet, Seedless Preserves, Picked Raspberry, Carved Pumpkin, Mermaid Lagoon, and Peacock Feathers. I will have these all linked in the description below, along with my socials if you want to jump on to my Instagram, or I am working on my Instagram. I know I keep saying that, but I really am. I've had quite a few hiccups with it. So if you really want to jump on to any of my socials, jump onto my Facebook at this point. I've created a Facebook group, and feel free to share what you've created. Let me know what you think you would have done differently, maybe to get a better effect or a different effect. Share if you decide to give it a go yourself. Share what you've got. I'd love to see what you work on. I would love to. It's all inspiration for me. You know, other people share things that they put up, and it's great. And it doesn't have to. Your work doesn't have to look like mine. It doesn't. You know, everybody. Here's my daughter. Okay, cameo. Jen's coming in. So she came in with a balloon, and she was like, I'm hoping that it's sped up fast enough that it doesn't bother you guys. She loves to chuck in a cameo wherever she can. If I'm recording when she's around, she comes and puts her hands in and says hi. She actually physically says hi when she's doing it, by the way. So here I'm just adding a bit more and adding a bit more. You can see how it's creating it's not a checkered effect. It's just a grid kind of effect. Squares, rectangles, all joined together. Now, it was once I finished this, and I take you through the whole process, don't stress. You can watch it. Yes, it is in fast forward, because I'm just putting color down. Like, it's not. I actually prefer to watch it in fast forward because it's not as, you get to the point without having to drudge through hours. This particular layout, I will be honest with you, I actually think it took me about 3 hours. That was in between family, you know, making lunch and all that sort of bizzo. It took me about 3 hours to make this and get it to come together. Now, here is where I'm using a bit of wild honey, and then I realized, I actually looked up and realized that's not working. Right there, that's when I realized that's not orange enough. You need to go over that with orange. It needs to be brighter to match with like the other colors on there. So once these dry, it does get a little bit brighter. So, and just adds another color. There's no right or wrong to doing this. You could do this in black and white. You could do this monochromatic. You could just do all the grays. You could do, if you don't have inks, don't panic. You could use paint. You could, watercolor, you could give it a go, but I don't know if you get these crisp results when you're finished. Like, I like the really crisp lines that it leaves. This is Jen. She wanted to help me so bad. She was like, that is so much fun. She wanted to get in and do it. And it is. It's quite rewarding. So you could do this with, I'm using the washi tape purely to just create my own designs. And there you go. Jen wanted to show you. She copied what I did. So you can see there where she's like, oh, I went out and I made lunch and whatnot. And yeah, I came back and she was copying what I was doing. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So see, even an 11-year-old can do it. So if you're thinking you can't do it, I bet you can. So now, as you can see, my blending's not beautiful on any of these. Like, you can see that it's just getting color down. So these are my photos, and this is where, as you can see, finger tapping, I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't look how I wanted it to look. That's because I didn't put any sideways. I did all my squares and rectangles going straight up and down. So I needed to come back through and add some extra squares and rectangles, but have them going horizontal instead of vertical. So some of them just weren't, and some of the gaps were a little bit wide. I did use a wider washi tape to create that extra gap, but it was a bit too wide. So, and I didn't want quite as much white space. So I think it turned out so nice. And this is where I'm just placing my photos going, okay, what can you actually see versus, like, there's no point in creating beautiful squares behind where a photo is going to go. So if it was a printed paper, you would probably, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, oh yeah, just put the photo on top. But if you're going to use your inks, you want to be able to see it. So I just went through with my washi tape and masked off areas. And the reason you can use masking tape, if you, not masking tape, I wouldn't use masking tape because, and I don't know why I'm saying that so weird, but I probably wouldn't use it. I've got masking tape and I tried to use it on one of my layouts and it tore my paper because it's not a low tack tape. So yeah, that's why I went with the washi tape. And my washi tape, I had different thicknesses, so that worked really well. So as you can see, once I add these longer boxes and they cut across that big long white strip, that sort of makes it feel a little bit better. So it's a bit more appealing to the eye, I believe is how we would word it. And I needed a bit more yellow on there. I love yellow, you guys. Oh, I love yellow. I might do, you know what? I might do a monochromatic yellow page. Do you reckon that'd work? What do you reckon? I'm going to write that down as an idea. Monochromatic, but all yellows. I don't know. I'm writing this down if you can hear me writing with my pacer. I have a mechanical pencil. We call them pacers here in Australia. Or mechanical pencils. Depends where you come from, I suppose. So now I'm just using my POSCA paint pen. It's my 0.7mm black one. Now, what I'm doing is I'm not going around the entire box. I'm only going down. Imagine these boxes are ribbons, right? So imagine top and bottom, you've fed it through and it goes on the other side. So what I'm trying to create here is a little bit of an edge on the ribbon, sort of a shadow, I guess. That's what I kind of had in my mind when I was doing this. So, I mean, you could do this with ribbon if you wanted to. Wouldn't that be cool? Maybe with paper strips, and you cut them through to the back. That could be cool. That's a good idea. Sorry, I needed a drink. It's early in the morning and I haven't finished my first coffee yet. So I'm trying to just get these voiceovers done before Posty starts driving around and the dogs start barking. Although the lorikeets are very loud this morning. Sun is coming up earlier here in sunny Queensland. And I've got to be honest, the mornings are absolutely beautiful. But the days are heating up. I can't say I am a fan. I absolutely detest the heat. It's only 20 degrees at the moment, but it's going to get up to about 26 here today. That's Celsius. So that for me is about my max limit when it gets to heat. I can't do heat. It's not good. That's because of my rheumatoid arthritis and my fibromyalgia. I absolutely love it not. Drives me crackers. Okay, so what else have I used here? I've told you everything I used except for right at the very end, which I will save. So I ended up deciding, I was toying with the idea as to whether I would photo mat my photos on black. Now I'm sprinkling some water all over my page. Because these are distress inks, they're water reactive. So to add the texture onto my page, all I did was use my spray bottle, sprayed my hand and flicked water droplets on the page and lifted the color off. So it automatically created a pattern for me. And I am adding a little bit of craft foam to the back of these photos just to lift them up ever so slightly and to create a little bit of an extra shadow. And I'm using my art glitter glue to glue them down. Now, with the art glitter glue, I swear by the stuff, love it to death. Now, the other night on Crazy Craft Obsessions live, there was a bit of backwards and forwards, toing and froing in regards to if it was matte finish or clear finish or whatever. Mine, I actually had the clear finish, and I have never ever had an issue with it being matte or otherwise. And right at the very end of this video, when I do the close-ups, not only there, but go and have a look on my Facebook group and I'll show you. I end up using, they're called glass domes, but they're plastic. And I bought some more. I had the 8mm ones, but I ended up buying a mixed packet of these glass domes. And I'm just, while I'm waffling, I'm just colouring with the same inks. I'm just colouring the title. Okay. So, I hope I don't make a big noise here, but my laptop needs charging. Okay. Sorry. Click, click. Okay, so anyway, with the glass domes, sorry, I sidetracked myself then. I squirreled myself. What the heck? Okay, so I bought these domes, and I always wanted the ones where there was various sizes because they always look like dewdrops to me. They always look like, you know, when you get a flower and you can put a little tiny dot on there. And I use my glossy accents for that quite a lot, but I really like these as they're more like an enamel dot. You can put them down and they're dry straight away there, and they stay where they are. They don't get squashed. I absolutely love these ones. I ended up getting these from, where did I get these from? I bought them on Amazon AU, and they're called KS Craft Clear Dewdrops. So they are on YouTube, they are on Instagram, and they are on Facebook. So I will see if I can find a link to them, and I'll pop them in the description below. I will leave that there to find a link for you, because these things, they were only $20, and I've got, how many's in here? A gazillion. There's no number written on it. There's just, it's a packed full bag. Like, it's really full. So I'll put some photos of them over on my Facebook page so that you can see those as well. So now I'm just going through and adding my coloured title to the offset that I made on my CRICUT. So the CRICUT font that I used is the CRICUT Sans, but I did it in bold, and that's the font, and I did a 0.69 offset because I didn't want it to be too chunky. The offset that I'm talking about is the white bit that I'm gluing it to. You can, I do have a video on my YouTube channel showing you how to create an offset if you have a CRICUT, and how to create a title. So the reason, and to be honest with you, this is one of the main reasons I bought my CRICUT, to be able to make my titles whatever I wanted them to be, and then I can colour them in whatever colour I want them to be. So here to be honest with you, I use my multi-purpose tool from Creative Memories more. I bought a new one, and I use that tool more, removing things from my CRICUT mat, than I use the CRICUT tools now. It's so funny because it's really flexible. It's so good. Now here I'm just auditioning, for a better word. I'm just having a quick, where do I want these? I didn't know if I wanted to split the three up or if I needed to have them lined up underneath each other for the effect. I apologize. I started gluing them down and my camera was turned off. So imagine you saw the top two get glued down. You know, it takes a lot of imagination. You don't know, some people. I use my T-square ruler to line them up straight, especially when I turn them on their side. And the only reason I turn them on their side is so you don't see my buff head in front of the camera. Instead of, you know, you want to see the artwork, not my head. And that's what makes it a little bit harder. And this is something I didn't know as a content creator. I didn't realize that how hard it is to keep your head out of the shot. It takes a bit of practice, let me tell you. Oh, there's the packet of those. Oh, they moved. Okay, so here's the close-ups, guys. I have put the little dewdrops on there and these little arrows. Unfortunately, these little arrows I got out of the Dear Lizzy sticker book, and I used my Distress inks and I just coloured them to colour match. They were other colours. They were blue and green and yellow and whatever. And I just used the Distress inks, coloured them, and they're just slightly darker than everything else. So that is my page. I'm so glad you watched it. I hope I didn't waffle too much on you. And jump on in the description below to jump over to my Facebook group, and you can have a look at the close-up photos. They are awesome. So thank you so much for watching, and see the crystal drops. You can see straight through them. The glue dries clear. It's great. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon, guys. Bye.